Welcome, Bracha. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to briefly introduce your work.
You introduce.
Yes. Bracha Ettinger è artista, filosofa, teorica femminista e psicanalista. È presente in mostra il suo più recente dipinto, Medusa, Rachel, Pietà, un'opera che realizza dal 2017 al 2022, come spesso fa con le sue opere, sulle quali lavora per anni. Nata poco dopo la Seconda Guerra Mondiale, Bracha Ettinger è figlia di ebrei polacchi sopravvissuti all'Olocausto e in questa mostra racconta un episodio che segna la sua pratica di artista, di psicoanalista e filosofa. Accanto al quadro che vedete alle nostre spalle, una vetrina contiene... scusate, sono proprio qui. Una vetrina contiene un'importante documentazione che è la prima volta che questa artista decide di condividere, e quest'opera è il frutto anche di questa narrazione. Infatti Bracha Ettinger è molto giovane, siamo nel 1967, ha solo 19 anni, è finita da 3 mesi la guerra dei 6 giorni, guerra combattuta tra l'Israele, l'Egitto, Siria e Giordania, e sta svolgendo il servizio militare obbligatorio quando comanda, in assenza di un alto ufficiale, una importante operazione di soccorso, salvando 152 soldati della marina militare israeliana dalla morte sicura in mare per affondamento del cacciatorpediniera Eilat, che era stato colpito da 2 missili Stinks sparati dalla marina egiziana. Lei stessa quella notte viene ferita perché nella sua direzione prende fuoco un elicottero e una pala la colpisce. Questa esperienza le causerà una parziale amnesia, un'amnesia causata da shock post-traumatico, con cui l'artista si troverà a confrontarsi, diciamo, nel corso della sua vita come psicanalista e artista. E comincerà a dipingere negli anni *80, dopo anni di pratica psicanalitica, e deciderà di iniziare la sua carriera sviluppando uno stile pittorico che affronta i temi della memoria transgenerazionale e la memoria personale obliterata. Ecco, qui alle nostre spalle è presente questo nuovo lavoro di cui le chiederò di parlarci. Thank you for your patience, Bracha. So in this exhibition you present your most recent artwork, Medusa, Rachel, Pietà, which is executed over the course of 5 years. The work belongs to a series that narrates the episode of the massacre of women that took place in the Baltic Sea in 1945, where a ship full of female prisoners from the Stutthof concentration camp for women, where there was also your aunt, was blown up by Germans. But this work also is a reminiscence of this other episode I was talking to you about previously, which is the Eilat ship rescue experience in 1967, which caused you a shock trauma, and which is the first time that you share with the public. So this work is a lamentation to victims of fire and water. Could you tell us how all these experiences are entangled in these works, in this work?
My work, this kind of painting, I do in parallel few paintings over many years, because it's layer upon layer of transparent oil painting, starting with other kind of technique where each time I'm touching the canvas, something appears and something else disappears, including starting from all kind of photos and inspiration. This particular painting is very much inspired by the Medusa of Caravaggio, this cry of wonder and terror and horror, in which I also identify. There is also this image of women and baby because I'm very much interested in the experience of women in conditions of war. I mean, not only to speak about women, but also in order to understand that the human condition contains also certain experiences of women from which we can learn a lot about what it means to be human. But during war, women and children sometimes suffer the most, and they are the most helpless. And I'm interested in this question of helplessness and vulnerability in this, and since the process is very long and very meditative, whatever enters it, enters it. And in that particular case, is a story that transgenerational, memory transmission of women of my family who perished in Auschwitz and also in Stutthof. My aunt was in the concentration camp for women, and they were put on a boat and shot in the fire. And so when I was finding myself in a situation where I realized there is missiles hitting a boat full of people, I got like, I had to do something. And there was no commander and there was nobody to listen to me. So I took responsibility and I, in fact, initiated, also commanded later on, but initiated this rescue operation. 2 missiles and then 2 more missiles, 4 missiles, all in all. And when the wounded people came to the base from helicopters, and so you can see here a lot of things that happen in the water. We don't know fire and water, but there's other inspiration too, like The Source of the World by Courbet, or even the dancing women of Degas. I could talk a lot about how art is entering my universe at the same time as personal experience. And after all, it's a painting. And the idea of painting, among other, the idea of painting is how we hold together ethics and aesthetics, which usually don't go together. But in art, this paradoxical can hold. And so there is a lot of transparency and the question of the woman in all that, and what kind of value we can put. For example, we believe in the value of power, but maybe we have to believe in the value of care. And what does it take? Or compassion, or to understand the suffering of the other. There's a lot here of my fantasy life, of what the rescued people told me, because we improvised a hospital, a field hospital. And so, but as she told you, I lost memory of few hours from the event. I was also wounded in my back. There was a helicopter catching fire and falling on me, and when this fire started to emerge in the painting, I was a bit lost. There are still images that I didn't finish because of that. But some events came out of the shell shock. I entered again in the shell shock. I started to see all kind of nightmares. And these paintings somehow inscribe my own process of retrieving the memory. And I retrieved my memory, and when it finally came back to me, the army also decided to recognize it. 50 years after the event, they decided that it's time to recognize that a 19-year-old girl, did this saving operation. They didn't want to recognize it before. It was a bit complicated for them. But for me, at each step when I'm touching, I want to transform everything I touch into some kind of love and color and light. And the more painful the experience is, the more difficult it is to do. So it's not like expression. It is really there is the expression, and then there is a lot of meditation and thinking, and then my ideas and more philosophical idea comes, and I take in notebooks, which are also in the Castello, in another exhibition.
I would like to ask you about the wound, because you affirm that whoever observes your painting perceives a portion of the wound that the work incorporates. And what does this mean? What does it mean to perceive the wound, to incorporate the wound? What happened to the audience?
I hope, this is a kind of a hope, because there's a lot of work that can be perceived in the movement and very quickly. And with my work, if you take time to look at it, from each angle you will start to see something else. First you see certain images, then you will see others, then you will see others, and they will lead you in different way. We don't know if the image is a human image, a baby crying, or an animal image, or a body, or a face. It depends where you look. So if you take the time to look from all around, first I hope somebody want to look at it because of maybe its beauty, what I call beauty. And then, because you're seduced to look at it, you start to see. And when you see, to see is really to realize, and to see is we don't only see with the eyes, we see with the body, we see the vibration. Colors are all kind of vibration, shapes. What kind of shape I'm doing, it takes time, and if we follow it, then we will also go through like a backward trip. You will go from what you see to what you feel, from what you feel to what you experienced, and you realize the relation between the hurt and the pain and the grief. In that painting, I call them Rachel, Medusa, Rachel, and Maria, because the Pietà, because I wanted to talk. Rachel is the female person in the Bible that died when she gave birth, and Maria, we know, the Pietà, lamenting her son, and between dying when you give birth or surviving, and then lamenting your son, which was brutalized. In between these two poles, what can we do with all this? And it's not only that it happens to others, because we are already inherited traces of many trauma and wars, and we can either repeat it because we don't understand, and repetition is really can happen, or we start to transform these traces to something meaningful. And it's very difficult to give meaning to something which is senseless. I mean, you see wounded people in a war and it is senseless. So what do we give meaning to? There's a question here, and it will take a whole night to explain the question. So it's not like we are solving it. We are just saying we have no other choice. Either we transform it to understand something else, or we repeat wars, and it's every moment, it's every present. It does not belong to the past.
Thank you, Bracha. I would like to go on with the conversation with you. It was a great opportunity for me, and I'm sure for the audience as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I want
you.
to thank Mariana, and I want to thank Caroline and the whole equipe. You've been absolutely wonderful and dedicated. Thank you.